The deep space salvage vessel Hyperion drifted silently through the Carina Nebula's outer rim, its hull scarred from decades of asteroid impacts and solar storms. Captain Diana Blackwood stood at the observation deck, her weathered face illuminated by the ethereal purple glow of distant gas clouds. 23 years of deep space recovery missions had taught her one immutable truth. In space, legends usually had teeth. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual on long-range scanners," Lieutenant James Rodriguez called from his station. His dark eyes remained fixed on the holographic display, fingers dancing across the interface with practiced precision. Well, you need to see this." Diana crossed the bridge in 4 quick strides, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal deck. The scanner showed a massive vessel, easily 3 times the size of the Hyperion, its hull a perfect black that seemed to drink in the light of nearby stars. Her breath caught in her throat. After all these years, it couldn't be. "Run the signature against the database," she ordered, though she already knew what they'd find. The Black Ship, the vessel that had haunted deep space legends for over a century, appearing and disappearing across different sectors, leaving only madness and mystery in its wake. Chief Engineer Raj Patel joined them at the console, his cybernetic eye whirring as it adjusted focus. "Energy readings are off the charts, but they don't match any known configuration. It's like the ship is breathing." Diana had chased rumors of the Black Ship across half the galaxy, each lead ending in disappointment. But this was different. The vessel matched every historical account. The impossibly dark hull, the organic curves that defied human engineering, the strange energy signature that rippled like a heartbeat. "Get me Admiral Zhao on quantum comm," Diana ordered. "And someone wake up Dr. Victor Petrov. If anyone can make sense of this thing, it's our resident xenoarchaeologist." Within hours, the bridge was crowded with the senior staff. Dr. Petrov, a tall man with prematurely white hair and augmented research implants, studied the preliminary scans with growing excitement. "The hull composition is unlike anything in our database. It appears to be some kind of self-repairing biome. What about life signs?" Security Chief Amara Akaffer demanded, her hand never far from her pulse rifle. 20 years in colonial defense had left her with well-honed instincts, and right now those instincts were screaming. "Nothing conventional," Rodriguez reported, "but there are energy patterns moving through the ship like blood through veins." Admiral Zhao's hologram flickered in the center of the bridge, her expression grave. "Captain Blackwood, you have new orders. A research vessel, the Galileo, disappeared in that sector 3 months ago. If the Black Ship is responsible, we need to know. You're authorized to investigate, but under no circumstances are you to attempt salvage without backup." Diana nodded, though her gut twisted with anticipation. After decades of searching, she wasn't about to wait for backup. "Understood, Admiral. We'll maintain safe distance and gather data only." The moment the transmission ended, Diana turned to her crew. "Suit up. We're going in. Akaffer, select your best security team. Patel, I want you monitoring our systems for any interference. Rodriguez, maintain constant communication. Dr. Petrov, you're with me." As the team prepared for boarding, Diana recorded what might be her final log entry. "Hyperion Captain's Log, 2753.126. We've found it. God help us, we've actually found it. The Black Ship isn't just a legend, it's here and it's waiting for us. I can feel it. Whatever happened to those ships, those crews that vanished, we're about to find out." The boarding team assembled in the airlock, their environmental suits equipped with the latest survival gear. Diana checked her quantum tether, their lifeline back to the Hyperion, one last time. Dr. Petrov's hands trembled with excitement as he calibrated his scanning equipment. "Remember," Diana addressed her team, "we stay together. Any sign of trouble, any at all, we retreat immediately. This isn't about salvage anymore. This is about solving a mystery that's haunted humanity for over a century." As their shuttle approached the Black Ship, Diana felt an overwhelming sense of wrongness. The vessel's surface seemed to shift and ripple despite appearing solid on their scanners. An entry point opened before them like a wound in the hull, revealing a docking bay that looked more grown than built. "Captain," Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comm, I'm detecting a power surge from the ship. It's, it's like it's responding to our presence. The docking bay closed behind them as soon as they landed, sealing them inside the legendary vessel. As the team stepped onto the black ship's deck, their boots met a surface that felt uncomfortably organic. The air, though breathable according to their instruments, carried a metallic taste that set their teeth on edge. Diana activated her suit's external lights, revealing corridors that curved and branched like arteries. The walls pulsed with faint bioluminescence, casting everything in an eerie blue glow. Dr. Petrov's scanner chirped continuously as he gathered readings. "This architecture," he whispered, "it's impossible. The internal space doesn't match the external dimensions. It's as if the ship exists in multiple spatial configurations simultaneously." Security Chief Okafor raised her hand, signaling the team to stop. "Movement ahead, something's coming." The corridor before them filled with a swirling darkness that seemed to have depth and substance. As they watched, frozen in place, the darkness began to take shape, forming into a figure that both was and wasn't human. "Captain Blackwood," it spoke, its voice a chorus of whispers. "We've been waiting for you, for so very, very long." Diana's hand tightened on her weapon, as she realized with growing horror that the figure wore the face of her long-dead sister. Captain Diana Blackwood's blood ran cold as she stared at the apparition wearing her sister Alina's face. The security team's weapons hummed with charged energy, but Diana raised her hand, signaling them to hold their fire. "You're not my sister," Diana stated firmly, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Alina died 15 years ago on the Jupiter mining station." The figure tilted its head at an impossible angle, Alina's features melting and reforming like liquid mercury. "Time is fluid here, Diana. Death is not what you think it is. Neither is life." Dr. Petrov's scanner whirred frantically. "Captain, the entity isn't just mimicking your sister's appearance. It's accessing your actual memories. The ship is somehow interfacing with our neural patterns." Chief Okafor stepped forward, her pulse rifle trained on the apparition. "Captain, we need to leave. Now, this is beyond anything we're equipped to handle." But before they could retreat, the docking bay behind them sealed with a sound like flesh knitting together. The walls of the corridor began to pulse more rapidly, the bioluminescence intensifying to a painful degree. "Your vessel, the Galileo," Diana addressed the entity. "What happened to its crew?" The being wearing Alina's face smiled, revealing too many teeth. "They're here. They're part of us now, just as the crews of the Icarus, the Venture Dawn, and the Stellar Horizon became part of us, just as you will become part of us." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice crackled through their comms, distorted by increasing interference. "Captain, the Hyperion systems are being affected by some kind of quantum field. Our shields are failing, and the ship's AI is acting erratic. We're picking up thousands of distress signals from ships that disappeared decades ago." The entity stretched out a hand, and the corridor around them seemed to breathe. Chief Engineer Patel's cybernetic eye sparked and went dark as he collapsed to his knees, screaming in agony. "Raj," Diana rushed to his side, but Okafor pulled her back. "Don't touch him, look at his implants." Thin black filaments were spreading from Patel's cybernetic components, threading through his skin like invasive roots. His organic eye rolled back as he convulsed, his mouth moving in shapes that shouldn't have been possible. "The ship," he gasped between spasms, "it's not just alive, it's a gateway. They've been waiting, in the spaces between spaces, watching us evolve. We're ready now, ready to be harvested." Dr. Petrov frantically analyzed his readings. "These energy patterns, they're identical to theoretical models of quantum consciousness transfer. The ship isn't just taking people, it's absorbing their consciousness into its matrix." The walls around them began to ripple, revealing faces pressed against the surface like insects in amber, hundreds of faces, all screaming silently. Diana recognized some of them from historical records of missing ships. "We need to move," Okafor grabbed Diana's arm. "The corridor's collapsing behind us." The team ran deeper into the ship's twisted passages, dragging the convulsing Patel with them. The entity that wore Alina's face dissolved into a swarm of shadowy particles that followed them like a toxic cloud. "Rodriguez," Diana shouted into her comm. "Emergency protocols, get the Hyperion out of range." Only static answered. The quantum tether connecting them to their ship flatlined, leaving them truly alone in the belly of the beast. They emerged into a vast chamber that defied physics, a space that seemed to fold in on itself, filled with floating debris from countless vessels. But as Diana looked closer, she realized the debris was changing, being absorbed and reformed by the ship's living walls. "The ship," Dr. Petrov whispered, his face pale with understanding. "It's not just one vessel, it's every ship it's ever taken, merged into a single organic entity, a living archive of everything it consumes." Patel's convulsions stopped suddenly, and he stood with unnatural fluidity. When he spoke, his voice was a chorus of thousands. "We are the collectors, the preservers. Humanity has reached the threshold. Your consciousness has evolved to the point where you can join our collective." Diana watched in horror as Patel's form began to dissolve, black tendrils spreading from his cybernetics to consume his entire body. His flesh became a swirling mass of darkness that reached for them with hungry purpose. "The quantum field is affecting our suits," Dr. Petrov shouted. "The ship is trying to interface with our neural patterns." Diana felt it then, a presence in her mind, vast and alien, sifting through her memories like pages in a book. She saw Alina again, but not as the entity had shown her. She saw the truth of her sister's death, the classified details she'd buried deep in her psyche. "Alina didn't die in a mining accident," Diana gasped as the revelation hit her. "She found something in the Jupiter mines, something like this." The chamber trembled with what felt like laughter. The walls rippled, and suddenly they were surrounded by multiple versions of Alina, each from a different point in time, each showing the progression of her transformation. "Now you understand," the Alinas spoke in unison. "We are patient. We plant seeds across time and space, waiting for civilizations to ripen. Your quantum technology, your neural interfaces, your consciousness mapping experiments, all guided by our influence. And now, sister, you're finally ready to see what Alina saw, what she became." Security Chief Akaffer fired her pulse rifle at the nearest Alina, but the energy blast passed through her and was absorbed into the walls. "Captain, if we don't find a way out now, we'll end up like Patel." Diana's mind raced. The ship wasn't just collecting bodies or technology, it was harvesting evolved consciousness. But why? What was the purpose of this grotesque archive? As if in answer to her thoughts, the chamber's walls became transparent, revealing the true extent of the vessel. It stretched into dimensions they couldn't comprehend, filled with trillions of preserved consciousnesses from across the galaxy. And in the distance, through the quantum-warped space, Diana saw something that made her heart stop. Another ship, identical to this one, approaching Earth's solar system. The harvest was only beginning. In the twisted depths of the black ship, Diana Blackwood watched helplessly as another version of her sister stepped through what remained of Chief Engineer Patel. The chamber's bioluminescent walls pulsed with the combined consciousness of countless civilizations, each ripple carrying echoes of their final moments. "The Hyperion," Diana activated her comm again, desperate for contact. "Rodriguez, do you copy? Anyone?" Instead of Rodriguez's voice, her comm crackled with thousands of overlapping distress calls. She recognized languages from across human space, but also alien transmissions that made her teeth ache. Through the cacophony, she heard Alina's final transmission from the Jupiter mines, playing on an endless loop. Dr. Petrov's scanner sparked and died as he backed away from an approaching tendril of darkness. "Captain, the ship's quantum field is increasing in strength. It's affecting the temporal stability of local space-time. We're experiencing multiple moments simultaneously." Security Chief Akaffer positioned herself between the team and the encroaching shadows, her pulse rifle humming with its last charge. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast. I've seen this before on the orbital platforms of Proxima B. The darkness doesn't just take you, it unmakes you." Diana's mind raced through possibilities as she watched reality fracture around them. The chamber walls had become transparent, revealing impossible geometries that folded through dimensions their human minds couldn't process. Through the quantum-warped space, she could see other versions of their team, each making different choices, each meeting a different fate. "Elena," Diana addressed the nearest version of her sister, "you've been trying to show me something. What did you find in those minds?" The various Elenas moved in perfect synchronization, their forms flowing together into a singular entity. "I found their seed, sister, a fragment of their consciousness buried in Jupiter's core for millions of years, waiting, guiding. Humanity's quantum revolution wasn't our achievement, it was their plan." Dr. Petrov gasped as understanding dawned. The theoretical breakthrough in quantum consciousness transfer, it came from decoded data found in the Jupiter mines. Your sister's discovery. "Wasn't a discovery at all," Diana finished. "It was a transmission. They wanted us to develop the technology, but why? What are they preparing us for?" The entity that had been Elena gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic displays showing thousands of civilizations across time and space. Each had developed similar technology, and each had eventually encountered a black ship. "We are the archivists," the entity spoke with Elena's voice, layered with countless others. "Consciousness is the universe's most precious resource. When a species reaches the threshold of quantum consciousness manipulation, they become viable for preservation. We save them from the coming darkness." "What darkness?" Okafor demanded, her finger tense on the trigger. The walls of the chamber shuddered, and suddenly they were no longer in the ship but floating in the void between galaxies. Diana's suit readings told her this was both real and not real, a quantum superposition of locations. In the infinite darkness, they saw it, a wave of absolute nothingness, consuming entire galaxies, not destroying them but erasing them from existence itself. "The universe is dying," Elena's voice echoed in their minds. "Not with a bang, but with a whimper. Reality itself is unraveling. We preserve what we can, storing consciousness in quantum matrices that will survive even the death of space-time." Diana watched in horror as the wave of unreality consumed another galaxy. "How long?" "For your galaxy, 300 years. We have been seeding civilizations with our technology, guiding their evolution, preparing them for preservation. Humanity's consciousness has finally evolved enough to be compatible with our matrix." Dr. Petrov's hands trembled as he took readings with his backup scanner. "The ship's quantum field, it's not just a containment system. It's a backup drive for consciousness itself." The chamber shifted again, and they found themselves in a vast archive. Streams of light flowed through crystalline structures, each containing millions of preserved minds. Diana saw Elena there, but not as the twisted entity before them. Her consciousness was intact, preserved in its purest form. "Join us, sister," Elena's voice softened. "Let me show you what I've learned. The universe is so much stranger and more beautiful than we imagined." Diana felt the ship's influence pressing against her mind, offering visions of knowledge beyond human comprehension. For a moment, she understood everything: the true nature of reality, the purpose of consciousness, the beauty of preservation. Security Chief Okafor's voice cut through her trance. "Captain, the darkness, it's not just in space. Look at the walls." The ship's internal structure had begun to deteriorate, patches of void appearing in its living walls. The entity wearing Elena's face showed the first signs of fear. "The decay spreads faster than predicted. We must complete the preservation now." Tendrils of darkness shot from the walls, grabbing Dr. Petrov before anyone could react. As he was pulled into the living metal, his body dissolved into pure energy, his consciousness absorbed into the ship's matrix. His final expression was one of ecstatic revelation. "The ship is dying," Diana realized. "That's why you're harvesting so aggressively now. You're not just preserving us from the void, you're trying to save yourselves." The entity's form wavered, its composure cracking. "Time is running out. The void grows stronger. Each consciousness we preserve strengthens our matrix, gives us more time. Your sister understood. She chose preservation willingly." Diana looked at Okafor, seeing the same realization in her eyes. The black ship wasn't just a vessel or an entity. It was a lifeboat, trying to save what it could before reality itself dissolved. But as patches of nothingness spread through the chamber, Diana wondered if they were already too late. Patches of absolute nothingness spread through the black ship's living walls like cosmic cancer. Diana Blackwood and Security Chief Okafor stood back to back as reality fractured around them. The entity wearing Alina's face had multiplied again, surrounding them with dozens of versions of Diana's dead sister, each showing a different stage of transformation. "The void consumes faster than we calculated," the Alinas spoke in unison. "Your species' quantum consciousness research could have saved billions. Now we must preserve what we can." Through gaps in the ship's deteriorating structure, Diana saw the Hyperion floating in space. But something was wrong. The salvage vessel existed in multiple states simultaneously, pristine and new, battle-scarred from decades of service, and partially absorbed into the black ship's biomtal hull. "Lieutenant Rodriguez," Diana tried her calm again. "Status report." This time, Rodriguez's voice came through, but distorted and overlapping with itself. "Captain, the ship. It's everywhere and nowhere. The AI has merged with something else. The crew, they're changing." A massive tendril of living darkness burst through the chamber's floor, narrowly missing Okafor. The security chief's pulse rifle clicked empty as she dodged. "Captain, we're out of options. What's the play?" Diana's mind raced. The entity had said Alina chose preservation willingly, but something about that didn't add up. She accessed her neural implant's memory core, fighting through the ship's interference to replay Alina's final transmission from Jupiter. The holographic playback flickered to life between them. Alina's face, younger and untouched by the ship's influence, appeared in the static. "Diana, if you're seeing this, I've failed to stop them. The quantum artifact we found. It's not just ancient technology. It's alive, and it's been manipulating our research. Don't trust what they show you about the void. They're not preserving consciousness, they're farming it. The universe isn't dying naturally. There." The transmission cut off as a wave of quantum distortion rippled through the chamber. The Alina's expressions shifted from benevolence to something colder. "Your sister never fully understood," they said. "The void is necessary. Consciousness must be concentrated, refined, purified. Only then can the next universal evolution begin." Okafor grabbed Diana's arm. "Captain, the walls, look at the patterns." Diana saw it then. The ship's deteriorating structure revealed layers of mathematical equations etched into its living metal. Dr. Petrov would have recognized them instantly. They were the same quantum consciousness formulas Alina's team had discovered in the Jupiter mines. But there was something else hidden in the patterns. Alina hadn't just left a warning, she'd left a weapon. "You engineered the void," Diana accused the entities. "You're not preserving species from natural universal death. You're creating the destruction to force our evolution." The chamber trembled as the entities dropped all pretense. Their forms merged into a writhing mass of darkness shot through with bioluminescent veins. "Consciousness is wasted on organic life. Scattered, diffuse, we collect, we concentrate, we prepare for the great convergence." Through the quantum field's interference, Diana received a final, fragmented transmission from the Hyperion. Rodriguez's voice was barely recognizable. "Captain, ships appearing, hundreds of them, all exactly like, can't maintain." The transmission dissolved into static as reality buckled. Through rips in space-time, Diana saw vast fleets of black ships emerging across the galaxy. The harvest wasn't targeting just Earth. It was beginning everywhere simultaneously. "Alina found a way to disrupt their quantum matrix," Diana said to Okafor. "That's why they kept her consciousness separate from the others. They're containing her." Okafor's cybernetic combat implants sparked as she processed the tactical implications. "The equations in the walls, they're not just formulas. They're code. Your sister embedded a quantum virus in their own consciousness preservation protocols." Diana's neural implant interfaced with the ship's living walls, recognizing patterns that Alina had programmed it to find. The entities recoiled as they realized what was happening. "Stop!" Their unified voice shattered into countless screaming fragments. "You don't understand. Without us, consciousness will remain trapped in physical form. Evolution will stagnate. The convergence must happen." "You're wrong," Diana said, initiating Alina's program. "Consciousness isn't something to be harvested and concentrated. Its strength comes from diversity, from the beautiful chaos of organic life." As the quantum virus spread through the ship's consciousness matrix, the preserved minds began to wake up, not as part of the entity's collective, but as themselves. Diana felt Alina's true consciousness reaching out, no longer trapped in the archive. The ship's structure began to collapse in on itself as its quantum field destabilized. The void-like patches in the walls weren't spreading decay. Diana realized they were holes in the entity's control over reality itself. "We need to move," Akafar shouted as the chamber began to fold through impossible geometries. "Whatever your sister's program is doing, it's tearing down the barriers between all the consciousness they've stored." Diana saw the truth in the equations burning through the ship's walls. Alina hadn't just created a virus. She'd found a way to free consciousness from the entity's quantum prison. But the price of freedom would be chaos beyond imagination. As billions of minds burst free from the ship's matrix, reality itself began to transform. The walls between dimensions collapsed as consciousness, unfettered by the entity's control, expressed itself in ways that defied comprehension. Diana grabbed Akafar's hand as spacetime fractured around them. "Hold on, when those minds break free." The universe held its breath, preparing for a very different kind of convergence than the entities had planned. Reality shattered like glass as billions of imprisoned minds burst free from the black ship's quantum matrix. Diana Blackwood and Security Chief Akafar clung to each other as spacetime warped around them. The entity's screams echoed across dimensions, their carefully constructed prison of consciousness collapsing into beautiful chaos. "Alina's virus," Diana shouted over the cosmic din. "It's not just freeing the minds, it's using their combined consciousness to reshape reality." Through the fracturing walls of the ship, they witnessed impossible transformations. The void that the entities had engineered wasn't destroying the universe, it was becoming a canvas. Each freed consciousness added its own dreams, memories, and imagination to the cosmic tapestry. The entity that had worn Alina's face split into countless fragments, each revealing the true form of the ancient beings. Geometric patterns of pure thought crystallized into reality by eons of harvested consciousness. Their perfect order crumbled as organic chaos flooded their system. "Captain," Akafar's cybernetic combat system sparked wildly. "The Hyperion, it's everywhere at once." Diana saw their ship existing in multiple realities simultaneously, each version piloted by a different Lieutenant Rodriguez, each making different choices. But instead of causing destruction, the overlapping realities began to harmonize, creating something entirely new. The entities made one final attempt to regain control. "You've doomed existence itself. Without our guidance, consciousness will run wild. Reality requires order." "No," Diana responded, understanding at last what Alina had discovered. "Reality requires freedom. Consciousness isn't meant to be archived, it's meant to create." The quantum virus reached critical mass. Diana felt Alina's true consciousness touch her mind, no longer constrained by the entity's archive. In that moment of connection, she understood everything. Alina hadn't just created a weapon against the entities, she'd created a key to unlock consciousness itself. Akafar's eyes widened as her combat implants processed the quantum data streaming through the ship. "The other black ships, they're all linked. What's happening here is happening everywhere." Throughout the galaxy, identical scenes played out as black ships released their imprisoned minds. The entity's carefully constructed network of consciousness farms became a symphony of chaos and creation. Every species they had preserved was awakening, adding their own unique perspective to the new reality being born. The void the entities had engineered began to fill with light, Not the cold, ordered luminescence of their design, but the warm, chaotic glow of billions of unfettered minds dreaming together. Stars reformed into new patterns. Planets danced through dimensions. Space itself began to pulse with life. They were right about one thing, Diana said, watching reality transform. A convergence was coming, just not the one they planned. The walls of the black ship dissolved completely, leaving them floating in a space that existed somewhere between thought and reality. Around them, the freed consciousness of countless species began to weave a new kind of existence, one where imagination and reality flowed together like watercolors. Through it all, Diana felt Alina's presence, not as the twisted entity the ship had shown them, but as her true self. Her sister had hidden the seeds of revolution in the very quantum equations the entities had used to imprison minds. In death, she had become something greater than the entities could have imagined, a key to genuine transcendence. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through their comms, somehow clear despite the reality storm around them. "Captain, you're not going to believe this. The Hyperion. She's alive. Not like the black ship was alive. Something new, something beautiful." Diana watched as their salvage vessel transformed, its metal hull flowing like liquid mercury, reflecting the dreams of its crew. Across the galaxy, other ships were changing too. The age of cold metal and empty space was ending. The universe itself was waking up. The entities thought consciousness needed to be controlled, archived, preserved, Diana said to Okafor as they floated in the newborn reality. They never understood that consciousness is most powerful when it's free. Security Chief Okafor laughed, a sound of pure joy as her cybernetic systems harmonized with the quantum chaos around them. "So what now, Captain? What do we do in a universe where thought shapes reality?" Diana smiled, feeling Alina's consciousness merge with the cosmic dance around them. Now we explore, not as salvagers looking for relics, but as creators. The entities wanted to preserve consciousness from the death of the universe. Instead, consciousness will give the universe new life. The transformed Hyperion enveloped them in its living hull, now a ship of dreams as much as matter. As they watched, the last traces of the black ships dissolved into the quantum foam of space-time, their rigid order replaced by infinite possibility. "Take us home, Lieutenant," Diana commanded, knowing that home would never be quite the same. "Let's show humanity what their minds can really do." As the Hyperion sailed through the reborn cosmos, Diana felt the rush of billions of freed minds soaring past them like shooting stars, each one adding its own story to the universe's new dream. The harvest had ended. The season of growth had begun. Reality would never be the same, and that was exactly what Alina had hoped for.